had exactly $68,400 sitting in a scholarship escrow account when my cousin Harper accidentally wired it out the night before our biggest public event, then left a silver keycard on a lanyard in my coat pocket like a signature. I was 3 days out from surgery, still moving slow, still forcing my breathing to stay even when the stitches pulled. And I remember thinking, she didn't just steal money. She stole a promise I'd made to kids who'd already written thank you speeches. The only reason I didn't confront her right there was the mystery in my hand. That key card, warm from my palm, with an executive access stripe that should not have existed. I put it face down on the counter beside a fresh cup of coffee and watched the hotel lights reflect off it. Somewhere down the hall, an elevator cable gave off that low, steady hum. The sound you don't notice until you're listening for danger. The air smelled like lemon polish, the kind they use in places where people pretend they don't touch anything. Then I said out loud, to nobody, "Okay, let me take you back." 2 weeks earlier, Harper called me with the bright, sugary voice she used whenever she was about to ask for something unethical, and wanted me to feel rude for noticing. "Rowan," she said, drawing my name out like we were close. "You're coming to the Founders Scholarship Gala, right? Please don't do the thing." The thing, in Harper's language, meant showing up as myself. No makeup, no designer label, no strategic laugh on cue. The gala was at the Riverside Crescent Hotel in downtown Austin, one of those places that smelled like lemon polish year-round and had doormen trained to look through you if your shoes weren't loud enough. Harper was hosting because she'd talked her way into becoming Director of Community Initiatives for the Park Family Foundation, which was impressive if you didn't know she'd gotten the job by being the golden child who learned early that confidence is a currency people accept without verifying. "What thing?" I asked. "You know," she said, "no attitude, no lectures, and don't mention your little consulting stuff. The donors don't get internet jobs." I almost laughed, but the stitches in my side reminded me it wasn't a good idea. "My internet job," I said calmly, "is building operational systems for hospitality brands." "Exactly," Harper chirped. "See? That's what I mean, just de-normal." Normal in our family meant Harper at the center and everyone else orbiting. I didn't tell her I'd already approved the gala's ballroom layout, catering flow, and security plan. I didn't tell her the Riverside Crescent wasn't just a venue we rented. I didn't tell her anything, because I'd learned something in business. The easiest way to see someone's real character is to give them a little power and watch what they do when they think nobody who matters is watching. The day of the gala, my doctor had cleared me to move around, but not to lift anything. "No heroics," she'd said, like she knew my family. I wore black flats, a soft blazer, and a plain dress. Intentionally forgettable. The front doors of the Riverside Crescent opened onto a marble lobby where the elevator cables hummed behind polished walls. Lemon polish in the air. A pianist playing something that sounded expensive but emotionally empty. And at the entrance to the ballroom corridor, a new security contractor, broad shoulders, glossy earpiece, 3 days of confidence, stepped in front of me like I'd wandered into the wrong movie. "Staff entrance is around the back," he said, scanning my outfit with a flicker of contempt. "I'm a guest," I replied. His eyes dropped to my flats, then back up. "Sure." I could have shown my ID. I could have said one name that would have turned him into a stammering apology. But I'd been tired lately, not just physically. Tired in the way you get when you've spent your whole life proving you deserve the space you stand in. So I said, "Okay," and turned. As I walked toward the service corridor, I heard him mutter into his radio, "Got another one." Another one. Like I was a category of inconvenience. The service hallway smelled like steam and sanitizer, and somewhere a dishwasher rattled like it was trying to shake itself free from the building. The elevator cable hum was louder back there, less polite. A banquet captain spotted me and immediately assumed I belonged. "Thank God," she said, pressing a tablet into my hands. "You're the replacement runner? We're dying." I'm not, I started, but she was already moving. Kitchen's stacked. Floral is late. Harper is in the ballroom losing her mind about the uplighting. If you can carry trays, start with water service. I can't lift, I said, touching my side. She took one look at my face and softened. Okay. Then help with coordination. We need someone who can read the room and fix small fires before they turn into the kind that gets us sued. Gets you sued, I repeated. Yeah, she said. If anything goes wrong at an event like this, people don't just complain, they litigate. That word landed like a coin in a jar. Litigate. I glanced down at the tablet. The event schedule was sloppy. Vendor arrivals were mistimed. The scholarship award segment, my favorite part, was squeezed between dessert and dancing like an afterthought. Harper had built a party. She hadn't built an event, so I helped. Not with trays, with timing, with flow, with the quiet, invisible work that makes rich people think their night was effortless. I moved through the back corridors, speaking softly to staff, adjusting small things, staging a backup microphone, spacing the award envelopes, reminding the AV tech to run a redundancy check. The lemon polish smell faded back here, replaced by coffee and heat and the honest scent of work. And in the middle of it, I heard Harper's voice, sharp as a snapped rubber band. "Why are these place cards cream?" she hissed at a trembling intern. "They're supposed to be ivory. Cream looks cheap." The intern blinked fast, fighting tears. Harper didn't notice, or didn't care. I'd seen her like this before. She'd always had a gift for treating people like props when she wanted the stage. In the ballroom, she floated from donor to donor, laughing too loudly at jokes that weren't funny, touching wrists and elbows like she'd read a book on influence, and decided to memorize the gestures without understanding the humanity. And every time she passed staff, she didn't see them. Not really. At one point she brushed past me in the service corridor, close enough for me to catch the expensive perfume she wore, something floral and performative, and she didn't recognize me at all. To her, I was another body in black slacks. "Hey," she snapped at the banquet captain. "Tell your people to stop clustering. It looks messy." "Your people." The banquet captain's smile tightened. "Yes, ma'am." I watched Harper walk away with her perfect posture and practiced entitlement, and I felt something in my chest go still. Not anger, exactly. Resolve. Because I knew something Harper didn't. The Riverside Crescent had more cameras than she had friends. And I knew exactly where the footage went, how it was time-stamped, how metadata could prove not just what happened, but when. That's the thing about running hospitality operations. People assume it's about linens and lighting. It's really about receipts. The night should have been simple. Donors drink, scholarships awarded, Harper gets applause, students get checks, everyone goes home feeling generous. But halfway through cocktail hour, an older man in a gray suit approached the service station with a rolled program in his hand. He looked like someone who'd spent his life watching rooms the way chess players watch boards. He leaned in slightly and said, "You're Rowan." I didn't flinch. "Yes." "I'm Miles Larkin," he said. "Facilities consultant, hired for tonight." His eyes flicked to my side, subtle, professional. He'd noticed how carefully I moved. "Congratulations on the gala," he added, voice neutral. Something about him didn't match the title. Facilities consultants don't have that kind of stillness. "What do you need?" I asked. Miles slid something into my palm. A manila envelope, thin, crisp. Inside was a printout of a bank transaction confirmation, and a sticky note with 4 words written in block letters. Escrow wired out. 1:12 a.m. Beneath it, $68,400. My throat went dry. A small, neat paper cut formed at the edge of my palm. I looked up. "How did you get this?" Miles didn't answer directly. "If that scholarship segment happens tonight without those funds restored, he'll be issuing promises with no backing." My mind moved fast, but my voice stayed even. "Who initiated the transfer?" Miles tilted his head toward the ballroom. "Not me." I held the paper like it could burn me through the envelope. The elevator cable hum seemed louder suddenly, like the building itself was listening. "Why are you telling me?" I asked. Miles's mouth tightened, just a fraction. "Because I don't like watching people steal from kids." Then he nodded once, like a decision, and walked away into the service corridor, disappearing behind a swinging door that smelled faintly of lemon polish from a freshly cleaned staff stairwell. I stood there for a moment, staring at the amount. $68,400. Not just money. That was 8 full scholarships. That was tuition deposits, laptops, rent, groceries. That was a future. And Harper had taken it in the middle of the night like it was a spare candle off a table. I forced myself to breathe. Then I did what I always do when things go wrong. I went to the system. I stepped into the quiet business alcove near the ballroom, glass walls, muted lighting, and opened my phone. No dramatic flailing, no confrontation, just calls. First, the Foundation's bank. A crisp voice confirmed what the printout had already told me. "The transfer was authorized through your Foundation's finance portal, using an administrator credential. It's pending settlement." "Pending means reversible," I said. "It can be recalled if it's fraudulent," she replied. "But you'll need documentation." Documentation. The word felt like a lever. Second call, the Foundation's accountant, who sounded like he'd been drinking antacids for a living. "It came from Harper's admin login," he said, breathless. "She said it was for an emergency vendor payment. She told me you approved it." I closed my eyes. Harper, of course. Third call, my attorney. Tessa Nguyen answered on the first ring. "Rowan, I need an emergency injunction," I said. A pause, then Tessa's voice sharpened into focus. "What happened?" "Scholarship escrow, $68,400 wired out, tonight." "Okay," she said. "No panic, just traction. Listen to me. If we can show misrepresentation or unauthorized diversion of charitable funds, we can file for a temporary restraining order and a bank hold. But we need a clean chain. Access logs, authentication, and an affidavit from whoever can attest." Affidavit. Another word that sounded like a key turning. "I can get access logs," I said. "And Rowan," Tessa added. "Whatever you're thinking, don't do anything that looks like extortion. You want this clean. This isn't revenge. This is justice." I let that line settle in my chest like a weight I could stand on. "I'll keep it clean," I said. "I'll keep it legal." I ended the call and stared through the glass at the ballroom, where Harper was smiling beside a sponsor banner like she hadn't just stolen from a fund with her name on it. I had 2 choices. 1, confront her privately and watch her lie. 2, let her keep performing until the evidence could end the performance permanently. I chose evidence. Because Harper's greatest talent wasn't stealing. It was rewriting the story afterward. I needed a story she couldn't rewrite. So I used the envelope as my anchor and moved quietly through the back-of-house corridor to the security office. The Riverside Crescent's security supervisor, Ramon, looked up when I entered. His gaze shifted to my careful posture. "You shouldn't be walking this much," he said. "I'm fine," I replied. "I need something." He leaned back slightly, waiting. I placed the bank printout on his desk. "I need access control logs for the Foundation Finance Office, and I need camera footage from the admin suite hallway between midnight and 2. Ramon's eyebrows rose. "That's sensitive," he said. I met his eyes, calm. "I know," he exhaled. "Do you have authorization?" I reached into my coat pocket and pulled out the silver key card on a lanyard that Miles had left in my pocket earlier, though I hadn't realized it was there until I felt the cool edge against my fingers. Ramon's eyes widened. "That's executive access." "It shouldn't exist," I said. He swallowed. "Only one person has that level, the owner's office." I held the key card up between 2 fingers. The fluorescent lights gleamed off the stripe. "I know," I said softly. Ramon stared, searching my face for the joke. I didn't give him one. He turned to his monitor, fingers moving quickly. Okay, he said, voice quieter now. Let's pull logs, but you should know, access logs are one thing. If you're going after someone for fraud, you'll want a forensic audit trail. Forensic audit, I repeated. Ramon nodded. Shows the transaction path, IP addresses, login times, device fingerprints, that's what holds up. The elevator cable hum vibrated faintly through the wall, like the building agreeing. Pull everything, I said. And preserve it. Ramon clicked a button. We'll export with checksum hashes, he said. So nobody can claim it was altered. Explain, I said. He glanced up. A hash is like a digital fingerprint. If anyone edits the file, the fingerprint changes. In court, that matters. In court, I echoed. Ramon's hands moved again. And I'll stamp it with our system metadata, time-stamped, camera ID, lens angle. I watched the screen as footage loaded. The quiet hallway of the admin suites, empty and glossy. Then, at 1:07 a.m., Harper appeared on camera, heels in hand, hair slightly undone like she'd been rushing. She wasn't alone. A man walked beside her carrying a laptop bag. He wore a vendor badge. Harper tapped a door code. They slipped inside. At 1:12 a.m., the bank transfer initiated. On camera, at 1:14, Harper laughed, silent on footage, but I could see the shape of it. Ramon froze the frame. Who's the guy? He asked. I stared at the vendor badge. The name was partially obscured, but I caught enough letters to feel my stomach drop. Because it wasn't a vendor. It was the Foundation's financial consultant. The same man Harper had insisted on hiring last month because old money donors expect a certain level of sophistication. I breathed out slowly. My stitches pulled. I didn't let it show. This wasn't just Harper being reckless. This was coordinated. And that meant I could stop it with something sharper than family conflict. I could stop it with law. I left Ramon's office with exported files on a secure drive and a written preservation statement. Ramon's signature, time, date, a chain of custody note. That mattered. Because if Harper tried to claim the footage was manipulated, chain of custody is what turns accusation into fact. As I walked back toward the ballroom, lemon polish hit me again. Freshly cleaned baseboards, the kind of cleanliness meant to signal wealth. The elevator cable hum followed me like a metronome. In the ballroom, Harper had moved to the stage to rehearse her speech with the MC. The students sat at a table near the front, dressed in borrowed suits and dresses, holding programs like they were holding onto a dream. My throat tightened. Harper's voice drifted through the microphone. Tonight is about legacy, she said, smooth and bright. About giving back, about lifting up future leaders. I watched her mouth move and wondered how easily words came to her when they meant nothing. Then I felt my phone buzz. A text from Tessa. Filed tro plus bank hold. Need affidavit, plus notarization. Can you get witness? Witness? Affidavit. Notary. I scanned the room. And that's when I saw him again. Miles Larkin, the facilities consultant, standing near the service station, watching the stage with the quiet focus of someone who'd seen this kind of theft before. I walked to him carefully. Miles, I said. He turned his head slightly. Rowan. You gave me the printout, I said. How did you know? A pause. Then, very calmly, he said, I used to be IRS criminal investigations. I blinked once. Alley identity twist. Of course. Miles held my gaze. Retired, he added. Now I consult. I keep my head down, but I don't ignore patterns. What pattern? I asked. The pattern where someone steals from a charitable account and thinks the word foundation makes it untouchable, he said. It doesn't. My phone buzzed again. Another text from Tessa. Harper Park named. Temporary restraining order requested. Judge wants probable cause. Probable cause. That phrase carried weight. Miles, I said, will you sign an affidavit? He studied me for a beat. If you're asking me to put my name on a legal document, I need to know something. What? "Are you prepared to take your cousin down publicly?" he asked. "Or are you going to fold because she's family?" The question landed like a blade laid gently on a table. I thought of the students, the scholarships, the checks that might bounce. "I'm prepared," I said. Miles nodded once. Then yes. We found the hotel's on-call notary, a woman in a navy blazer who looked like she'd notarized every kind of human betrayal possible. She asked for IDs. She watched Miles sign. She stamped the affidavit with a practiced thump. That stamp, small, official, felt louder than applause. Notarized signature. Another term turned real, not just fancy language. While that happened, I watched Harper from the edge of the ballroom. She was making rounds, collecting compliments, accepting handshakes, leaning into photos like the camera was a mirror she could live inside. And then, like the universe wanted to give me one more piece of proof, I saw her slip into the business alcove, my alcove, where she assumed she was unseen. She opened her phone. Her face shifted into impatience. Then she spoke, quietly, urgently, to someone on speaker. "No, you promised me it would clear by morning," she snapped. "I don't care how, move it." She paused, listening. "Do you know what happens if the students don't get paid?" she hissed. "It's humiliating. It makes me look incompetent. Not guilty, not worried about harm, worried about looking incompetent." I pulled my phone out and started recording, not her face, just the audio from behind the glass. In Texas, recording laws can get complicated, but I wasn't planning to play it in court as the primary evidence. I wanted it as leverage for timeline, for intent, for the story she couldn't rewrite. And I already had the clean stuff. Access logs, camera footage metadata, forensic trail, affidavit. That's how you keep it advertiser safe and legally safe. No screaming, no threats, just proof. The night moved forward like a train you couldn't stop, and the scholarship segment was approaching fast. Harper didn't know that in the background, Tessa was already filing for an emergency bank hold, asking the court to freeze the diverted funds before they vanished into whatever shell account Harper's consultant had set up. Shell account. Another term you hear in documentaries until you're living inside it. I watched Harper step onto the stage again for her official speech. The room quieted, donors turning toward her like sunflowers toward light. She smiled, bright and practiced. "Thank you for being here," she began. "Tonight, we celebrate generosity." The MC handed her a folder of scholarship names. Harper held it like a trophy. And that's when the pattern interrupt hit. Not a blackout, not an alarm, something quieter. A man in a suit approached the edge of the stage. Hotel management, clipboard in hand. "David, my general manager." He leaned toward Harper, murmuring something. I saw Harper's smile flicker. Just a hairline track. David wasn't supposed to approach her on stage, not during a speech, which meant something urgent had happened. Harper's eyes darted across the room. Then, to my surprise, she lifted her chin and kept talking. Whatever David had said, she'd decided to bulldoze through it. That told me everything I needed to know. She'd already rehearsed the lie she was going to tell. I walked to David, meeting him near the service corridor. "What did you tell her?" I asked. David's face was tight. "The foundation's payment to the hotel, event deposit, came back insufficient," he said quietly. "And our accounting flagged irregular vendor invoices tied to Harper's approvals." I was trying to keep it discreet. I almost smiled. Harper hadn't just stolen from the scholarships. She'd been double-dipping, floating invoices, diverting funds, letting checks bounce, assuming nobody would dare challenge her at her own gala. I touched my side, grounding myself through the discomfort. "Give me 5 minutes," I said. David hesitated, then nodded. "Roland, are you okay?" I held his gaze. "I'm better than okay." Then I walked, not fast, not dramatic, toward the service elevator. The elevator cable hum rose as I stepped inside, a low vibration through the floor. I pressed the button for the top administrative level. When the doors opened, the hallway smelled like lemon polish and quiet money. I approached a door at the end. a private office suite with glass and steel, and held up the silver keycard on the lanyard. The lock clicked. Inside, the space was minimalist and calm, designed to make chaos feel like something that happens to other people. Floor-to-ceiling windows, a desk with neatly stacked reports, a small safe built into the wall behind a framed photo of the river. This wasn't Harper's world. It was mine. On the desk sat a second folder, thin, understated. My assistant had left it earlier in the day, flagged with a sticky note that read, "Foundation, Vendor Review." The second folder changed everything. Inside were the invoices Harper had approved in the last 60 days, catering add-ons, consulting fees, floral rush orders, with numbers that didn't match vendor contracts. There were discrepancies that screamed fraud to anyone who'd ever run a real budget. And clipped to the back, a printed report from our internal systems team, access records showing Harper's admin credential used after hours, from a device registered to the financial consultant. The report included device fingerprinting, another piece that made the story airtight. I called Tessa again. "I have the audit trail," I said. "Good," she replied. "We can push for an asset freeze if the judge signs. But Rowan, if you're going to confront her publicly, do it after we lock the funds. Otherwise, she might move money out in real time." I looked at the clock. Harper's scholarship segment would start in 7 minutes. "I don't have time," I said. Tessa's voice lowered. "Then you don't do a confrontation, you do a pause, you buy time." Buy time. I stared at the wall-mounted AV control panel, an override system I'd insisted on installing across our properties. A simple admin function that allowed emergency announcements, security instructions, and, if needed, control of the main ballroom screens. I didn't install it for revenge. I installed it because if something ever went wrong, I wanted the building to respond to truth, not panic. I said, "I can buy time." Tessa exhaled. "Okay, then do it clean. No defamation, only provable facts, stick to documents." I ended the call, picked up the thin folder, and clipped the manila envelope with the affidavit to it. Then I did one last thing. I opened the security footage export and checked the metadata stamps Ramon had included. Camera IDs, timestamps, checksums, chain of custody. Everything I needed to make the room believe what it saw. Everything I needed to keep it legal. I rode the elevator down. The cable hummed like a warning. The lemon polish smell greeted me again as the doors opened near the ballroom. And then I walked back into Harper's performance. She was already transitioning into the scholarship segment, voice shining with rehearsed warmth. "And now," she said, "the moment we've all been waiting for, presenting this year's Founders Scholarships." The students sat up straighter. My chest tightened. I watched Harper reach for the stack of checks, symbolic, oversized, held by an intern. I knew those checks would be worthless if the escrow wasn't restored. I couldn't let those kids stand up and accept air. So I stepped forward to David, nodded once, and said quietly, "Stop the segment." David's eyes widened. "How?" I held up the silver keycard lanyard, just enough for him to see the stripe. His face changed, the kind of change that happens when someone realizes they've been speaking casually to an earthquake. He swallowed. "Okay," he said. David walked toward the MC, leaned in, whispered. The MC's eyes widened, then he nodded sharply and stepped forward. "Ladies and gentlemen," the MC said into the mic, voice smooth but slightly strained, "we're going to take a brief pause for a logistical adjustment, just 2 minutes. Please enjoy your tables." A ripple of confusion moved through the crowd. Harper froze, smile still on her face, but her eyes sharp now, scanning. I knew she was looking for someone to blame. She found me, standing near the side aisle, plain dress, flats, calm posture. Her eyebrows pulled together like she was trying to place an insult. Then her face brightened in the way it does when someone thinks they found an easy target. She stepped down from the stage and strode toward me, microphone still in hand. "You," she hissed under her breath, too quiet for the crowd to hear. "What are you doing here? This is donor space. Are you working? Working. Like I couldn't possibly belong unless I was serving her. I kept my voice low. Harper, we need to talk, privately. Her smile returned. Public mask snapped back into place. Oh, she said louder into the mic, laughing lightly. Everyone's sorry. My cousin Rowan is. She's always been very passionate about, process. She's helping us backstage. A few polite chuckles. Harper leaned closer, still smiling for the room, and whispered through her teeth, "Don't embarrass me." I looked at her. Really looked. Her makeup flawless, her hair perfect, her eyes bright with fear she refused to name. "You already embarrassed yourself?" I said quietly. Her smile tightened. "Excuse me?" I didn't answer. Instead, I lifted my phone and sent one text to Tessa. Executing pause. Lock funds now. Then I turned slightly toward the AV booth. The AV tech, a young guy with tired eyes, watched me approach like he was bracing for Harper's next tantrum. I didn't give him one. I showed him the silver key card. "I need you to route the ballroom screens to emergency admin input," I said. He blinked. "That's restricted." "It's my restriction," I replied calmly. He swallowed and nodded, hands moving fast. "Okay." Harper noticed. Her smile faltered. "What are you doing?" she called, voice lifting, drawing attention. The room quieted slightly, donors turning. I didn't raise my voice. I just walked to the edge of the stage where the mic stand waited, and I gently took the microphone from the MC. Harper's eyes widened. She reached out like she was going to grab it back, then stopped herself because donors were watching. I faced the room, my stitches pulled. I breathed through it. The elevator cable hum was faint beneath the ballroom music. Lemon polish in the air, the silver keycard lanyard cool against my palm. "I'm sorry for the interruption," I said, voice steady. "But we're not going to present scholarships until we confirm the scholarship escrow funds are intact." A startled murmur rose. Harper let out a small laugh, too sharp. "Roman, what are you?" I held up one hand, not to silence her aggressively, just a gentle boundary. "This is not a performance," I said. "This is compliance." People shifted. Donors leaned in. The students looked confused, worried. Harper's face flushed. I continued, calm. "The Park Family Foundation Scholarship Escrow account was wired out last night at 1:12 a.m. in the amount of $68,400. The room went still. Harper's smile froze like it had been sprayed with lacquer. "That's absurd," she said quickly, voice too loud. "That's..." I didn't argue. I nodded toward the screens. The AV tech switched input. The ballroom screens, previously cycling through glossy photos of donors and smiling students, went black for a moment. Then they lit up with a time-stamped security clip. A hallway. Harper, the financial consultant beside her. The door code keypad. The timestamp, 1:07 a.m. A gasp moved through the room like wind. Harper's mouth opened, then closed. I kept my tone measured. "This footage is preserved with metadata stamps and chain of custody," I said, translating the legal terms into reality as I spoke. "That means it can be verified and used in court. It's not edited, it's not taken out of context. It's time-locked." Harper stepped forward, voice shaking. "You can't do this. This is private." "It's a hotel hallway," I replied gently. "It's monitored for safety." I clicked to the next screen. An export of the access control log. This is the access record. It shows whose admin credential initiated the transfer. It shows device fingerprinting, meaning the specific device used to log in. It matches the consultant Harper hired. Harper's eyes darted around, searching for allies. A donor, an older woman in pearls, stood slowly. "Harper," she said, voice quiet but lethal. "Is this true?" Harper's cheeks shone under the lights. "No," she snapped. "Roman has always been jealous. She's trying to..." I didn't react. I didn't match her volume. I just opened the manila envelope and held up the notarized affidavit. This is an affidavit signed by a retired federal investigator who reviewed the transaction pattern, I said. It's notarized. That means the signature is verified under penalty of perjury. Harper's eyes flicked to the audience again. Someone's phone camera lifted. Another followed. Harper took a step back like the floor had shifted. I turned slightly toward the students' table, softening my tone. You were promised scholarships tonight, I said. You will receive them. But not as a lie. The students stared, wide-eyed. One young man's hands trembled slightly as he held his program. Then my phone buzzed in my hand. A text from Tessa. Judge signed. Bank hold. Temp asset freeze filed. Funds recalled. I let myself exhale once, not relief, control. I looked back at the room. The funds are being recalled now, I said. A judge has signed a temporary restraining order and a bank hold. I watched donors process that. Those words, judge, restraining order, bank hold, translated into something they understood. This wasn't family drama. This was a legal event. Harper's voice rose, cracking. You went to court? Yes, I said simply. Because charitable funds aren't yours to gamble with. Harper's consultant tried to slip toward the side exit. Ramon, the security supervisor, appeared as if summoned by the truth itself and stepped into his path. Sir, Ramon said politely, we need you to come with us. The consultant's face tightened. This is ridiculous. Ramon smiled without warmth. You're free to say that to law enforcement. Harper spun toward Ramon. You can't detain him. Ramon's eyes flicked to me for a fraction of a second, then back to Harper. Ma'am, we can secure the premises while we wait for officers. It's standard procedure during suspected fraud. Fraud, another term, now wearing a uniform. Harper turned back to me, voice dropping into something like a plea. Rowan, she hissed. Please, not like this. Her voice sounded like it had when we were kids and she'd broken something and wanted me to take the blame. I watched her for a long moment. Then I said quietly, You chose like this, at 1:12 a.m.? And because Harper always needed the stage, she did what she always did when she couldn't control the story. She attacked my character. You don't even belong here, she spat, turning slightly so donors could hear. You're not part of this world, what are you, a consultant? And nobody who… I didn't flinch. I didn't need to. David stepped forward then, folder in hand, and said clearly, Excuse me. The room turned. David's voice carried the practiced authority of someone who ran buildings for a living. For clarity, he said, Rowan Park is the operating principal of Park Hospitality Group. She oversees this property and our other holdings. Harper stared at him like he'd spoken another language. David continued, She is also the signatory authority for the Riverside Crescent's event compliance policies, including audio-visual emergency access. So yes, she belongs here. Harper's mouth opened, closed, opened again. And then I did the only reveal I needed. Because it wasn't about humiliating her. It was about ending the lie she'd been living inside. I didn't come tonight to ruin a gala, I said to the room. I came to make sure the scholarships are real. I keep my name off public marketing because I like learning how people behave when they think power isn't in the room. I touched the silver keycard lanyard lightly. Tonight, power is in the room. Harper's face went pale. One donor, a man with a watch that looked like it could buy a house, spoke slowly. Harper, he said, did you tell us Roman didn't matter? Harper swallowed hard. I didn't. The donor held up a hand. You did. Silence spread, the kind that makes people hear the air conditioning. Then another voice, quiet, older, cut through. A scholarship student's grandmother, sitting near the front, said, That money wasn't yours. Her voice wasn't dramatic. It was disappointed, which somehow felt worse. Harper's eyes glistened with angry tears. Rowan, she whispered, voice sharp with resentment. You could have handled this privately. I nodded once. I tried. By pausing the segment and asking to talk privately. You chose to keep performing. The police arrived. 2 officers in calm uniforms, professional, not aggressive. Ramon guided them quietly. No spectacle, just procedure. Miles Larkin stepped forward and introduced himself, showing his retired credentials. He handed over the affidavit and explained the probable cause: diverted charitable funds, misrepresentation, coordinated access. I watched Harper stand there as her world shrank from gala host to subject of an investigation. Her consultant was escorted out first. Harper tried to follow, then froze when an officer asked for her ID. She looked at me like she was waiting for me to save her. For a second, my old habit, my flaw, rose in my chest. The part of me that wanted to smooth things over, to make it easier, to keep the peace. Then I thought of the students' table. I thought of the checks that would have been lies, and I let the habit die quietly. While the officers spoke with Harper, I walked to the students and knelt slightly so I wasn't towering over them. I'm sorry, I said softly. This wasn't supposed to happen like this. One of the students, young woman, steady eyes, asked, Are we still getting them? Yes, I said. The funds are being recalled now. And to make sure there's no delay, my company will front the checks tonight. The escrow will reimburse when it clears. Her shoulders dropped in relief so visible it hurt. I stood slowly, careful of my stitches. The lemon polish smell drifted again as staff moved quietly around us, resetting the room like professionals do after an emotional earthquake. The MC approached me, pale. Do you want to end the event? I looked around. Donors were shaken, but they were also awake now. The kind of awake you get when you realize generosity isn't a vibe. It's responsibility. No, I said. We continue, but differently. I took the microphone again, not for drama, for closure. Tonight was supposed to be about legacy, I said. And it still is. Legacy isn't the name on a banner. It's whether you protect what you claim to value. I nodded toward David, who handed the MC a fresh set of scholarship envelopes. Real ones, printed from our secure system upstairs. We're going to present scholarships now, I said. And we're going to do it without pretending the adults in the room are always safe. The scholarship segment happened. Students stood. Applause returned, not polite applause, but real. Harper was led into a side conference room with the officers and foundation board members, her hands not cuffed, because this wasn't TV. This was real life. Questions, documents, legal language. I didn't bloat. I didn't need to. The next morning, Tessa met me in my office suite upstairs, the one the silver keycard opened. She placed a file on my desk. We have the TRO on the consultant's accounts, she said. And we filed for an expanded injunction. If they moved funds into any LLC shells, we can subpoena bank records. Explain, I said, even though I already knew. I wanted it said out loud for the sake of clarity. Tessa nodded. A subpoena forces a bank to produce records. It's how we trace where money went. Combined with your forensic audit logs and the security metadata, it's a clean chain. And Harper? I asked. Tessa's expression stayed professional. The foundation board is convening an emergency meeting. They can remove her. And because she misrepresented vendor payments and diverted charitable funds, the district attorney may consider charges. Charges. Another word that didn't need yelling. And your hotel contract? Tessa asked. Harper's deposit bounced. That's breach. I exhaled slowly. Send a demand letter, I said. Not cruel, just factual. Payment due. If unpaid, we pursue civil recovery. Tessa nodded. Civil recovery means lawsuit for repayment, I finished. I know. She studied me. Rowan, she said gently. Are you okay? I looked out at the city, sunlight on glass, the river beyond. The elevator cable hum was faint here, still present, always present. I'm not devastated, I said. I'm just clear. That afternoon, Harper called me from an unknown number. I answered. Her voice was wrong, stripped of performance. They fired me, she said. I know, I replied. They're saying I can't serve on nonprofit boards anymore, she whispered, like the words hurt her throat. That's called consequence, I said calmly. A pause, then bitterly. You enjoyed this? I didn't rise to it. No, I said. I enjoyed protecting the scholarships. She made a sound, half laugh, half sob. I didn't think it would go that far. That's the problem, I said. You didn't think. You just wanted to look like a person who gives. Silence. Then she said, quieter. You could have helped me. I stared at the silver keycard lanyard lying on my desk, its stripe catching light. I would have, I said. If you'd asked, if you'd told the truth. But he didn't ask. He stole. Another pause. I hate you, Harper whispered. I know, I said. And then I added, because I meant it. I don't hate you. I'm just done letting you use me to clean up your mess. When I hung up, I didn't feel triumphant. I felt lighter. The legal process moved the way legal process does. Slow, deliberate, relentless. The consultant's accounts were frozen pending investigation. The judge extended the injunction. The foundation board installed interim oversight and ordered a full forensic audit. An outside firm, not friends. The audit found what I already suspected. Harper had used forged invoices, padded vendor costs, and misrepresented approvals. Forged, misrepresented, approval chain. Each term wasn't just vocabulary anymore. Each one was a lever that moved consequence into place. Harper tried to claim she'd been misled by the consultant, but the access logs didn't care about her narrative. The device fingerprint didn't care. The camera metadata didn't care. Truth has a quiet way of not needing your cooperation. And then came the final twist. The one Harper didn't see because she'd never asked how the foundation was structured. My grandfather, quiet, careful man, had set up the Park Family Foundation with an irrevocable trust. When I was younger, I thought that phrase meant fancy money stuff. Tessa explained it to me in plain language. Irrevocable means you can't just change it when you're mad. It's locked. It protects assets from being casually moved by whoever feels entitled. And buried inside that trust was a clause my grandfather had called his canary. A canary clause. A condition that triggers changes if someone tries to divert funds or interfere with oversight. Like the canary in a coal mine, if it stops singing, you know the air is toxic. When Harper diverted scholarship funds, the clause activated, which meant the foundation's control structure shifted automatically. The board's discretion narrowed, oversight tightened, and the person designated as operational protector of the trust's intent, me, was granted expanded authority. Harper didn't just lose her position. She accidentally handed me the legal keys to ensure she could never do it again. When Tessa told me, I sat back in my chair and listened to the elevator cable hum through the walls like a steady heartbeat. That's poetic, I said. Tessa smiled faintly. It's legal drafting, she corrected. Poetry with consequences. 1 year later, the Riverside Crescent hosted the Founders Scholarship Gala again. Different banner, different board members, different vibe. The lemon-polished smell was still there because hotels are consistent like that. The elevator cables still hummed, the building still watched. But the energy was different. Less performance, more purpose. Harper wasn't invited. She'd taken a job in sales somewhere outside the nonprofit world, according to my aunt. She wasn't thriving, but she was surviving, which was enough. I didn't want her destroyed. I wanted her stopped. The consultant had settled civilly and faced professional consequences that made it very hard for him to operate in that space again. The district attorney pursued charges on the cleanest counts, and the case resolved the way many white-collar cases do. Restitution, probation, restrictions, no dramatics, just a permanent paper trail. And the scholarship fund? Stronger than ever. That night, I stood off stage while the students walked up and received real checks, funded, verified, protected. Afterward, one of the scholarship recipients came up to me, holding her envelope like it was sacred. Are you the one who stopped it last year? She asked. I nodded. She looked down, then back up. Why? I thought about Harper's voice saying legacy like it was a perfume you could spray on. I thought about Miles Larkin slipping me that first envelope because he didn't like watching people steal from kids. I thought about how power doesn't look like yelling. It looks like paperwork. I made a promise, I said. And promises don't belong to the loudest person in the room. She smiled, small and bright. Thank you. As she walked away, I touched the silver keycard lanyard in my pocket, not because I needed it, but because it reminded me of something simple. Access, not to rooms, to truth. Before I left the ballroom, I glanced once at the doorway where that security contractor had blocked me last year. He wasn't there anymore. This year, the guard at the door greeted everyone the same way, eyes up, respectful, present, not calculating net worth by shoes, because someone had trained him differently, or because the building itself had learned. On my way out, I paused in the lobby, where the lemon polish smell hovered under the chandeliers, and the elevator cable hum thrummed softly behind the walls. I put my phone face down on the marble counter and let myself stand still. If you've ever been underestimated by someone who thought your worth was visible on the surface, if you've ever had family treat you like a convenience until they needed to, remember this. You don't have to scream to be powerful. You don't have to perform to be respected. You just have to hold your boundaries long enough for the truth to catch up. And if you're listening to this and thinking about the one person who always tries to rewrite the story, tell me this. What was the moment you finally stopped letting them? And if you want more stories where karma looks like a court order and closure looks like a quiet no, make sure you're subscribed. Because sometimes the house doesn't win by being loud. It wins by keeping records.